The handwriting Hi guys, in today's episode we're gonna be analyzing the handwriting of Freddie Mercury from Queen. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and let's jump right into it. So we see that the handwriting of Freddie is rhythmical, which means he was organized. However, the handwriting is illegible. So it means that there was a lot of going on in his mind. The small size points at excellent concentration and also that he was reserved and introspective. The handwriting is straight, has no slant, which means he was solid and pragmatic. However, if you look here at the bottom, to whoever he's writing this letter to, when he thinks about these people, it makes them happy because the baseline goes up, so he gets optimistic when talking about them. Also, the spacing between words is large. Spacing between words tells us about intimacy in public. Large spacing means he was rather distant from people. He was distancing himself emotionally. On the other hand, spacing between letters tells us about how close he felt in close personal relationships. So since the spacing between letters is rather regular, we can assume he was doing better in personal relationships rather than in public. Now the spacing between lines is large, which indicates large need for intimacy. The handwriting is spiky, which points at energetic individual who can take any task on themselves. However, it also means that he might have been impulsive. Anyway, that individual had a great potential, that's what this trait tells us. It also might mean that he was a party animal. The pressure is medium and the pressure is distributed evenly. So it goes here about emotional intensity. It means he was pretty medium with his emotional intensity. Now, how this handwriting is distributed on the page. So we see it's clumping a bit more towards left, which means he was stuck in the past a little bit. Okay, there's a lot going on in his handwriting. Let's jump to letter specifics now. When you look at this handwriting, you see that most of it is compressed in the lower zone. The lower zone talks about daily pleasures like money, food, sex. So it means he was putting a lot of attention in that area of life, which connects to things mentioned in his biography, especially sex. However, there's also a lot of things going on in the upper zone. Upper zone talks about aspirations, so he had high aspirations. And as you can see, the middle zone is pretty abundant. There's not big letters in there. He wasn't focused that much on his social life. He wasn't living in the present that much. He didn't have a big ego. Now, when you look at his essays, because he has this loop at the bottom in his essays, so it points towards unproportioned ambition, greed, and also being sympathetic. When we look into his O's and A's, they are oval, which means he was a very creative individual. His E's are all closed. Whenever we have a closed E, it means selective listening. Now we have quite a few formations below the baseline, so it means he was thinking a lot. The T-bars, let's talk about his T-bars. They are very tall and the bar is set very high. The T-bars are talking about our aspirations in life, how high we want to excel. Well, he definitely had high aspirations, and the T-bar tells us how confident he felt in achieving these goals. He also felt pretty confident in achieving his goals because the T-bar is very high. However, those T-bars are very much towards the right. You see, they're starting in the middle and they're pointing towards right a lot. It signifies impulsiveness, impatience, and thoughtlessness. Now, jumping into the lower zone, we have the Y's, we have the G's, and some of them are straight and some of them are tangled. So if they're straight, it means he was a loner. And if they're tangled, but just slightly, it talks about his physical frustration. I'm wondering whether it connects to sex frustration. However, the traits about sexual life are being presented slightly differently, so we cannot go that far with the analysis. When you look at his personal pronoun I, it's in capital letter, which means he was pretty confident in himself. Also, the top bar talks about maternal connection he had, and the bottom one, the paternal connection. So the length of these bars also tells us how close he was with his parents. If you see, he was close with his father, but with his mother, something happened. I was searching for how was the relationship with his mother. And I found that they were actually pretty close together. However, she mentioned that Freddie was never talking about his sexuality at home. Looking from his biography, we know that sexuality was playing a huge role in his life since he was actually gay. He had a fiancé and then the relationship fell apart. He was hiding it. There was also this time in history that being homosexual was not that welcome. This can signify that somewhere halfway through his life, probably in his teenage years, they became more distant with his mother since he was hiding a big part of his life, which was his sexuality. When you look at the B's, we have the loop at the bottom, so it signifies a good imagination. Also, the way he writes his D's pretty much varies. You can see this one, and the last one is the most common. So we're gonna focus on interpreting that one. Writing D in this way signifies dishonesty and lies. We can make an interpretation lies about his sexual orientation. Maybe there was a lot more than that. And also it signifies schizoid personality. I was searching whether Freddie was diagnosed with any personality disorder, and some articles were pointing at borderline, some were pointing at ADHD. He definitely had anxiety. However, other articles were completely nagging any personality disorder. We don't know. Also, he has loops in his letters, which signifies fear of criticism. I think every artist has a little bit of fear of criticism. You know, you're putting yourself out there. You want people to like you after all. When we look at his R's, his R's are very flat and long compared to the rest of his handwriting. Long R's mean that his ego was present. He was seeing himself above others. I think it might connect with his confidence that was mentioned before. He dots his I's very high, which means he had a very active imagination and as well little contact with reality. Head above the clouds. His H letter has this angular formation at the bottom. Letter H tells us how we transfer our thoughts to other people. The angularity in the H tells us he was vigilant. So to summarize this person, we can see that there are a lot of conflicting traits. We have high confidence, high self-esteem, and seeing himself above the others. But at the same time, it was being said he doesn't put that much attention into his ego. So that's kind of a conflicting trait. Also, we see him as a person with lots of aspirations and lots of potential. However, he seems to be lying a lot, lying to others and lying to himself. He's definitely very impulsive, and that also connects with him having a messy mind, having a lot of going on in his head. Also, that indicates he's very creative and he has a huge imagination, which also contributes definitely to his success. Nevertheless, this individual is very conflicted, very troubled, and it seems like he's being oppressed. As a bonus, let's look at his signature. So the way you write your signature is the way you want to appear to other people, the way you show up in public. Surprisingly, his signature is very similar to the rest of his handwriting, which means he doesn't really put on a mask. He shows up pretty much the way he actually is. What's interesting, the baseline goes very much up. Whenever the baseline is going up, it means that you have optimistic feelings towards yourself. And this is kind of conflicting with the rest of his handwriting. It seems like he puts a mask of high self-worth. Because as we said before, his personality traits actually say that he has low self-worth. Also, there is a big first letter. He appears proud and there is this tangling happening. Guys, whenever you see tangling, it's not good. It means he had muddle in his head and he's not even hiding it in his signature. Also, if you look at the very end of his signature, the letter E, his hand was kind of shaking when he was writing it. It might mean that it's hard for him to keep up with fake high self-worth image he puts for other people. Also, if you see the X at the bottom, like, you know, XOXO, his signature is going up, but the X is straight, which feels to me as a relief for him, like, oh, my signature is ending. I finally don't have to pretend anymore. Alright guys, so let me know how you enjoyed this analysis of Freddie Mercury's handwriting. Also, if you have any ideas for future videos, please let me know down in comments below. I'm looking forward to it. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye bye! Let me know. his H letter and his I. I finally don't have to pretend anymore that I'm so optimistic and happy. Very creative and joy. However, there's